Talktainment Radio Worldwide Sound. Talktainmentradio.com. We give you a reason to come. The world's greatest radio. We give you a reason to stay. Radio, the way it should be heard. You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guest and not necessarily those of TalkTainmentRadio.com, the management, the staff, or K&E World Network, LLC.
This is The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio, the way it should be heard. And now, Mr. Neely Fuller.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
This is The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com. Radio, the way it should be heard. Joining me every week at this time, 10 a.m., live Eastern Standard Time, of course, is Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Mr. Fuller, how are you, sir?
I'm still learning.
Mr. Fuller, tell us how we can get your two definitive works on white supremacy racism.
You can get them by going to producejustice.com. That's producejustice.com. And what will come up on the screen is a brief description of a basic textbook workbook for thought, speech, and or action for victims of white supremacy, and an additional textbook, which is a word guide. That's a counter-racist word guide depicting or making suggestions about how to counteract racism by the use of words, what words to look for when other people use them, how to react to words that are said, some words that are coined, that's made-up words that will probably serve better as tools in producing justice and or eliminating racism. Both books addressed to individual persons, what individual persons can do through their thinking, through their speech, through their action. And also there are instructions for ordering both books, either one or the other, the basic book or the counter-racist word guide. That's producejustice.com. Producejustice.com.
Okay. All right, Mr. Fuller, we've got people who are waiting to ask you questions, so I think I'm going to change the format a little bit this morning. I'm going to go to our callers first. Is that okay, Mr. Fuller?
That's fine.
Yeah, we'll go to our callers first, see what's on their minds, and then after that, we will open it up for you to discuss any item that you want or any item that I may have that I want to talk about. So let's go to our first caller. First caller, you're on there. First person that called, you're on there. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Brother Kahari?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, sir, Brother Fuller.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I would like to just voice my concern about the past about month, a couple of weeks, as far as it looked like just a smear campaign on non-white people, especially in the United States and across the nation, world or whatnot. With the whole Sterling situation, right, and how he had a platform to pretty much destroy the credibility and character of Magic Johnson, in which he had nothing to do with the situation. But it's just a whole slew of things. The whole Jay-Z and Beyonce debacle. And I was telling my aunt, and I feel that's pretty big because to black people, especially in the United States of America, Jay-Z and Beyonce is kind of like their Prince, William, and Kate, so to speak. And to show them in that light, it shows, look, even these non-white folks that have all this power and celebrity, still look how they act or whatnot. Magic Johnson was reduced to just being a rich black person with HIV in the eyes of Sterling and many other white supremacists. I just seen, I think it was yesterday or day before yesterday, Mayor de Blasio of New York City, the mayor, his wife, a black lady by the name of Shalane McCray. I'm looking on Wikipedia now. She's the poster child on the front. They took a little bit of her article, and pretty much she's the poster child for being a bad mother now. Saying that she couldn't wait to be away from her children or whatnot. She put a career first and whatnot. And I'm looking, and it says that in the 1979 essay, she commented in the 1970s, I identified myself as a lesbian, and I wrote about it. And in 1991, I met the love of my life and married him or whatnot, which shows to me that she's a white sex offender. But also, even bigger than that, that all these people look like they have been prepped for their roles, like a Jerry Bruckheimer film, George Lucas type directorial production or something. And it reminds me of the whole Nazi Germany. Cows and sheep eventually get led to the slaughter. And before you can, do those things, you first destroy the humanity of the people. Mm-hmm. And then once you can do that, then you can just let loose as far as, speeding up the genocide on non-white people.
Let me give Mr. Fuller a chance to comment. Mr. Fuller, he doesn't have a direct question, but he has some very interesting thoughts. Let me get your thinking on some of the things that he's talking about. Mr. Fuller.
Well, in an indirect way, he's talking about, he didn't mention something also that he could have mentioned. In addition to what he said, he could have mentioned also, and I will mention it if I have it correctly, because I may not have it correctly, but I understand Mr. Sterling said something about culture. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, he did. Mm-hmm.
Right, okay. Now, he's talking about the culture, presumably, because he wasn't explicit about it, but I was listening, trying to see what else he was going to say. I was trying to get the whole statement, really, and all the statements he was making, which I haven't been able to do. But in speaking of culture, he says it's in the culture, or words to that effect, meaning he's talking about white supremacy, I guess. I can't interpret what he means. That's a part of the codification that I write about. People should be actually asked to interpret what they're saying in fine detail and go into all kinds of detail. They shouldn't be silenced once they go in that direction, because you want to know what's on people's minds in order to really get a big picture of really what they want to do. Ultimately, that's what you really want to know, not just how they feel or what their views are, because if I was talking to Mr. Sterling, I would just let him talk and let him talk and let him talk ad infinitum, and then the bottom line would be, after he says everything that he has to say, given his opinion and his view of the world and his view of black people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, then my question would be, okay, Mr. Sterling, having said all of that, in your opinion, what do you think should be done? Because it always comes down to that two-letter word, do. Do. Not how, everybody feels different ways from different times. I mean, emotional or even from some studied objective. I mean, people have feelings that they express that are subject to change every 5 or 10 minutes and all like that, or they have doctrines, things that they believe in deep down, you might say, that they want to go on and on and on with ad infinitum forever. In other words, these are doctrines that I guess in some quarters everybody has some kind of doctrine, something that they believe in forever that's not going to ever change. But then they also have emotions which change every 5 or 10 minutes maybe. So it comes down to, with all of that put together, whether it's something that a person has as a doctrine, something that they believe in forever, or if it's just something that they feel emotionally at the moment. The key question will be, okay, when you draw a line up under all of that, Mr. Sterling, Mr. Copeland, up there in New Hampshire, or whomever, Mr. Bundy, down where he is, you would ask these people, okay, I got your viewpoint, or your various viewpoints, or your different viewpoints, or your emotional viewpoints, and I got your doctrine viewpoints. Now, I want to know one thing. What do you think should be done, and who should do it? What do you think should be done, and who should do it? And I think this is important for everybody to ask, because this is part of what I write. Rather than everybody get all fired up about what people are saying at the moment, just sum total it, because at the end of the day, you want a sum total. It's like, being in a business. At the end of the day, you want all the receipts to be brought in, and all of the everything that happened during the day. If you're running a cafe or whatever, and you're getting ready to close, then you want to wrap up whatever it is that happened during the day. You want to say what was the outtake? What happened today that shouldn't have happened? I mean, what did the customers finally say about the food? If you're running a cafe, and are we going to stay in business? I mean, and be able to open tomorrow? So you want bottom line somewhere. We shouldn't be in 2014 just picking at stuff and going around in this vast circle and coming right back where we started from. And the fastest way I know, in a opinion way anyway, as a suggestion, the fastest way to get there is when people are doing all this talking, say, give me the bottom line. Give me the bottom line. I want to know exactly what it is what you're saying, what to do about what you're saying. And I think if we just latch on to that, we'll make a quantum jump way ahead of where we are now. Because we should be way ahead of where we are now. We shouldn't keep going around in this vast circle. And I think we'll make a vast jump if we just lock on to that. We can just yawn through what somebody is saying. I mean, about how they feel about things, and how black people feel about white people, how white people feel about black people. Okay, we got all the feelings. The feelings all over the place. And everybody doing the name calling, and everybody's getting all upset about this, and then calming down, and then moving on to the next subject about how somebody feels. Okay. What do you do? And let's try to do it, in 2 or 3 paragraphs about what to do about the entire situation, not just about individual people, about how you feel about Magic Johnson for the first 15 minutes and how you feel about him for the half hour after that, and on and on and on. I mean, we got that. We should have that down pat by now. So we'll just go directly to Mr. Sterling, give me the doing part. What do you do? What do you do with all these people that, and Mr. Copeland up there in New Hampshire? You're saying this about this and this about that, and you say that President Obama is this kind of way and that kind of way, and you got an opinion of him. I mean, the way you have read him as being the N-word, and you say he fits those qualifications. That's what's reported that you said, Mr. Copeland. So, okay. So we got that. All right. We're not going to run down the hall screaming about that. We've been there, done that. And then revisiting the N-word all over again. We got that. Okay. What do you suggest be done with all of the people who look like President Obama and act like President Obama, if that's what you're talking about? Are you talking about how he looks, or are you talking about how he acts? And what acts? Because different people act different ways. So let's be very specific about what we're talking about, Mr. Copeland.
Now, for those folks who haven't heard this, New Hampshire Police Commissioner Robert Copeland, let me play just a little bit of an excerpt.
Heard Wolfboro Police Commissioner Robert Copeland referred to the president using a racial slur weeks ago at a local diner.
Comments like these, especially coming from an elected public official, are not only inexcusable, terribly unfortunately reflects poorly on our town.
Calls for Copeland's resignation only growing louder after a heated meeting in Town Hall Thursday.
I feel less safe in this community.
What message does he send about Wolfboro?
Resign.
If you do not have the decency to resign, prepare yourself because we will institute recall. You may not, sir.
The town's police chief said.
Okay, I'm going to go through and catch another one of it.
Filed with the town of Wolfboro, New Hampshire. 82-year-old Commissioner Robert Copeland was heard calling President Obama the N-word. Now, he was heard doing this during a private conversation in a restaurant. But then word got out, and many of the town's residents are outraged.
Okay, Neely. I think caller Neely, what he's saying is, and I think the caller reflected this also, that it appears that the open, and it kind of reminds me, Neely, of what took place during Reconstruction in I think it was from 1866 to 1876, the so-called Great Compromise, when Rutherford B. Hayes removed the troops out of the South. It's almost looking like the same era, what happened when Nathan Bedford Hayes and Albert Pike initiated the Ku Klux Klan. And then, the country flipped and went into that total pro-racist kind of attitude. It almost has that feel. And I'm a student of history. It just looks like that same era. And maybe and I think as we head toward 2016, when Obama's 2 years are up, it wouldn't surprise me if we don't see an escalation, caller and Mr. Fuller, of what we're starting to see now. All of a sudden, this stuff is just rising up. At the same time, China goes into Africa. China goes into Detroit. Detroit is allowed to fail. It looks like there's a pattern, and I see what the caller is talking about. Caller, do you want to respond also? And then I'll come back to Mr. Fuller.
Just real quick, the perfect picture for this on YouTube, something Mr. Fuller had said, and somebody titled it, and they put a picture of when this white guy picked up Mr. Obama, President Obama, in his restaurant, and it says, know your place, or something like that. No matter how big you are under white supremacy, a non-white person is still not, is still below a white person or whatnot. And, I mean, that's just I wanted to add real quick.
Okay. Mr. Fuller, let me get your thoughts.
Well, we are under a system of white supremacy. That's the most powerful government that the world has ever seen, and that's the title of it, by the way. It doesn't go by any other title, even though we sometimes call it by other titles, but the accurate title for the government that we are under is, in capital letters, the system of white supremacy worldwide. It's just one world government, and that's the only government in town, the only government on the planet that really counts, that is worthy of having the title of government. People who believe in dominating and mistreating people based on color in the form of what we call racism or white supremacy, those people collectively are the dominant force in all 9 areas of activity on this planet that we call Earth, in every area of activity 24/7. Economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. And they believe in dominating and mistreating people based on color. They're the smartest and most powerful men and women on the planet. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. Now, that's a problem. It's a huge problem because nobody on the planet should be dominated and mistreated based on anything, whether it's color or anything else. But that's what the only system that we have on the planet. We don't have any other system. There are no other systems, none, zilch. So the question is, what would you replace that system with? Logically speaking, since it is a system of non-justice, you replace it with a system of justice, which means what? 2 elements, according to what I have written anyway, and that is guaranteeing that no person is mistreated and guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help. Now, that's what you go to the table with each and every day, each and every time, wherever you are on the planet. That's the kind of planet you want. Because we can't keep going on, or we shouldn't keep going on like we have been going on.
Okay.
And how do you do that? You get to the doing part. We usually just deal with the feeling part.
Mm-hmm.
And so when statements like have been made in the last few months by the people who have been making the statements that everybody's excited about and all like that, we simply ask a logical question. Mr. Sterling, Mr. Copeland, Mr. Bundy, we got your scenario. We understand how you think and what you're thinking because you're telling us. But what do you do about it? What are you going to do about it? What is your plan for solving this entire thing that you say is a problem? And what are we supposed to do? Because you're talking about us non-white people on the planet. I mean, we're all here on the same planet. Now, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are you going to do about me? And what am I going to do about you? I want to wrap that up probably in 2 paragraphs, sir. Mr. Copeland, Mr. Bundy, as well as you possibly can, in a couple of paragraphs. We don't need all these long speeches anymore. This is 2014. Let's wrap this thing up in the next 15 minutes. I mean, these hundreds of years are going by, just going around in this circle. Let's stop that. Let's all stop that. Let's just say, let's wrap this thing up in one 15-minute session. 15-minute sessions. That's what we should think about doing, everybody on the planet. This entire racial thing. Let's wrap it up in 15 minutes. No more building organizations and having community meetings and all the rest of that. Let's sit down, and you can do this fast forward simply by finding out and getting everybody to tell the truth what's on everybody's mind. Everybody speak their mind. But the main thing is not just talk about how you feel. That's what everybody's been talking about, how they feel like forever. Oh, I don't like being called the N-word. I mean, that makes me feel bad. Well, I'm going to call you the N-word because I want you to feel bad, all right? But is that solving the problem? Just name-calling and whatnot and going back and forth and then having secret meetings about how many black people you're not going to hire this year and all like that? Well, if you're not going to hire them, where are they going to work? I mean, duh. That's what you say to the white people. You're not going to hire them, where are they going to work? Well, they just won't have jobs. I mean, you know, okay, if they don't have jobs, what are they going to do, rob and steal? Yeah, that's what they usually do. They'll rob and steal. Well, when they rob and steal, what are you going to do with them? Well, we're going to put them in jail. Okay, well, how many jails do you have to build? Forever and ever and ever. You're going to put them all in jail because they're robbing and stealing by the millions? You're going to have millions of jails? I mean, come on. Let's be realistic. What are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
See what I mean? And let's wrap this thing up in a 15-minute session and have it done with forever.
Okay.
One way or another.
You're listening to The Compensatory Concept, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com. You can go to TalkTainmentRadio.com, click the arrow that says Listen Live, and you can listen on the Internet, not by phone, on the Internet when you call in at 1-877-932-9766, 1-877-932-9766. That's the live. We're here live. We're waiting on your call. Mr. Fuller, we have a caller who has been waiting. Let me go not to the caller that just came on, but to the other caller that's been patiently waiting. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air. Caller, go ahead. The one that's been waiting. Go ahead.
Is that me?
Yeah, I think you've been waiting. You called, and you were waiting on another caller to finish, and that was you. And then I got another caller waiting. But go ahead. Let me go ahead and talk to you. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, just 2 quick questions. The first one was, do you think that the United States will have to fall before white supremacy, racism, as we know it here in the United States, or in this area that's politically organized in the United States, that will have to fall for white supremacy, racism can fall where we live?
The question is, do I think the United States?
Yeah, he says that does the United States have to dissolve, dismantle, fall, be eliminated before white supremacy exists? Meaning, is this area of the world the greatest driver of white supremacy? I think that's the question. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Fuller.
No, it's individuals. There's no such thing as the United States of America. There's the system of white supremacy. So who are the white supremacists? Well, the counter-racist logic says is any white person who is able to be one probably is one, because that's the only government on the planet. There's no such thing as the United States of America. That's yet to be. That's something that everybody should want. That's a work that people have said is in progress, but the progress has been very, very slow. We've never arrived at that thing called the United States of America yet. Many scholars, after all kinds of talk, they'll talk all kinds of ways to find to get there. They might talk for, 2 or 3 years in one speech to finally say that this thing called America is a work in progress. It's not finished yet. It's something that we're experimenting with. And what would that be? The ultimate objective of something called America, logically speaking. It would be a place where people are not mistreated and people who need help the most gets the most constructive help. That word is called justice. So justice and America are one and the same. Justice doesn't exist anywhere on the planet. So what do we have? We have white supremacists on this planet, for the most part, and their victims. So it means each and every white person that you talk to, their priority has to be, look, let's wrap up this whole thing about racism once and for all, and let's do it in the next 15 minutes. Because that's all it would really take. I keep saying that like that's just some type of general metaphor or some type of cliche that I'm coming up with. No, I'm saying this can be done in 15 minutes if we would just get to the core of having everybody say how they feel about everything as far as what they are going to do, not just how they feel. We have been there. Everybody has expressed how they feel. Well, I feel that black people, are just not meeting their responsibilities. Well, see, everything is about questions and answers. So when somebody makes a statement like that, well, you black people are not living up to your responsibilities, then you have a question on the board. Okay, wait a minute. Hold it right there. We're not meeting our responsibilities. The question is, what is our responsibility? Well, you should pay more attention to how you raise your children. By doing what? Well, try to raise them in the right way. Right way by doing what? See, you haven't got to the doing part yet. Well, show them to be good citizens and whatnot. You're using cliches, sir. Good citizens by doing what? See, it always comes down to that one word made of 2 letters, do. Well, teach them not to rob and steal from the delicatessen down there on the corner drugstore and put that man out of business, even though he's black too, or he's Arab and you don't like him and all like that. Teach them not to be more responsible and don't go down there and do that. And teach them to get a job rather than rob and steal and whatnot. Get a job doing what? Well, go to school and get an education so you qualify to get a job. Go to what school and get what education? Where? And where's the finance coming from to go to the school, sir? Are you going to put the finance up? Everything comes from you. You're doing all this talking. Everything comes from you. We are your children. Illegitimate children, of course. But when you say raise your children, we are your children. You took us over. That makes us childlike, boys and girls, which is what you call us. See, this is the way we should be talking at a table. See, it always comes back to the white supremacists because that's what supreme means. Every complaint that the white supremacists make about black people, you say, whatever you're complaining about, me. comes from you. I am your product. You're complaining about what you have produced, sir. You say that, I'm stupid, I'm ignorant, I don't know how to do anything constructive. Well, who has been my teacher other than you? Well, I try to teach you, but you people are just inferior. Now we're getting to it. Oh, I'm inferior, meaning what? Meaning no matter how I try to teach you or what I try to do with you people, you're just born inferior. I mean, it's just that way. For some reason, you just can't learn. You don't know how to do anything. Everything that you touch turns to a great big mess. If I'm not around here to hold your hand and walk you through everything just turns to nothing. Oh, in other words, I'm completely incapable of ever doing anything constructive. Boy, you got it. You got it. And I just tolerate you because I'm here on the planet with you, and I try to be compassionate, but I really can't do anything with you people because you are inferior by nature. You just can't do it. You can't cut it. Your mind doesn't work that way. All you're good for is just getting in the way of messing up everything that anybody else tries to accomplish. That's all you're good for. All right. That's your conclusion, sir? Yes, that's my conclusion. Okay. Now, we're still stuck with that one thing, aren't we? Well, what's that? The doing part. What do you do with people who are absolutely inferior? Now, let's wrap this up in about 5 minutes now, because we're getting toward the end, sir. We finally got to it. What do you do with a world full of inferior people?
Mr. Fuller, stay
right there. Make
up
your mind.
Stay right there, Mr. Fuller. Caller, stay right there. Everyone, stay right there. More to come. This is the compensatory concept heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
Here's an idea. You've heard of the notion of pay it forward? It comes from the 2000 movie Pay It Forward. Basically, the premise is helping someone with no expectations of payback, providing assistance to someone, passing information on, simply doing a good deed for a total stranger, and instead of allowing them to pay it back, ask them to pay it forward, doing favors for other people and asking them to do the same. The principle is the same as multi-level marketing, except that instead of soap or vitamins, it's generosity between strangers that is being passed on. Pay It Forward is mentoring. It's volunteering in your community. It's shoveling a neighbor's snow or cutting an elderly person's grass for them or taking a senior to the store. Don't wait for someone else to do something good. Do it yourself. It starts with you. Talktainment Radio strongly embraces the notion of pay it forward. In fact, we just did.
TalkTainmentRadio.com is the premier internet radio platform offering 40-plus talk radio-style programs professionally produced, optimized for online distribution, featuring Columbus, Ohio on-air personalities. TalkTainmentRadio.com offers listeners diverse programming options covering topics such as arts and culture, love, life and relationships, technology, religion, paranormal activities, local and national politics, women's issues, alongside health and wellness. Listeners can access their favorite TalkTainmentRadio.com programs free of cost through the website. Download the TTR app to your cell phone and you can take us wherever you go. We have programs on demand to fit your schedule through our podcast. The address is TalkTainmentRadio.com.
Have you ever wished you could spend more time with your kids or maybe quality time with your spouse when you can actually have an uninterrupted conversation? Do you owe your dad a little catch-up time? Well, it's time to reconnect, and no activity can bond a family together quite like boating and fishing. I mean, think of all the great experiences you had as a kid when you went boating or fishing. Well, guess what? It's still great. Boating and fishing are the perfect opportunities for your family to get away, to talk, to laugh, to create new memories. So take someone you love out on the water and see where the water takes you. If you haven't been on the water in a while and you're not sure where to start, or if you just like to have some helpful tips For your next trip, please visit takemefishing.org. This has been a public service of TalkTainmentRadio.com. Radio, the way it should be heard.
The United Independent Compensatory Code System concept by Neely Fuller is considered as one of the substantial and basic books for understanding and effectively countering racism. Neely Fuller will turn upside down everything you've heard and everything you think you know about racism and how it works. Call area code 202-484-5461. 202-484-5461.
For information on everything from passports to driver's licenses to local weather, go to firstgov.gov. Firstgov.gov, the official source for federal, state, and local government information.
Years ago, identical twins were separated at birth. Chris Paul was destined for life of basketball. Cliff Paul was destined to become a State Farm agent. They shared one invaluable trait. They were both born to assist. Find an agent born to get you to a better state.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
You got the power.
This is the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com. Radio, the way it should be heard. It should always be heard. This, you can hear us live right now by going to TalkTainmentRadio.com. You go and then you click Listen Live. You cannot listen by calling on the phone and listening, and that's not what they mean. What it meant when they say click live, you go to the website and you can hear it from the website. TalkTainmentRadio.com, TalkTainment radio.com. Talktainment is very similar to entertainment, except you spell it the same way, except you take out the enter, and where you have entertainment, you keep the word tainment and put talk in front of it, and you got TalkTainmentRadio.com. And you can click Listen Live, and you can listen to Mr. Fuller, or you can hear us again, and we'll rebroadcast at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today, this specific show we're doing now, or you can go and hear Mr. Fuller 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on his podcast. That's also at TalkTainmentRadio.com, radio, the way it should be heard. All right, Mr. Fuller, we have another caller. And caller, I want you to, the one that just asked the question, I want you to stay right there. And I want to go to the other caller who's been patiently waiting and hadn't had a chance to speak or ask the question. Go ahead, caller, you're on air. Caller, the one who has not spoken, you're on the air. Go ahead. Okay, I guess that person is gone. Okay, Mr. Fuller. Mr. Fuller, in this segment, is there any things that have come to your attention? I know you talked about Mr. Copeland out of New Hampshire, the police commissioner of New Hampshire. And then we looked at Sterling. And then, of course, we had Cliven Bundy down in Las Vegas, in Nevada, the Nevada rancher. And, of course, there are many other things that are going on around the world that are happening. And let me go to my caller, the one that just came on the line. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. You haven't had a chance to talk to Mr. Fuller. He's on the line waiting on you. Have a comment or a question. Go ahead.
Yes. Hi, how are you, Mr. Fuller? And esteemed host. I just wanted to ask a question about your book and concept. Firstly, I'm around a lot of feminists on my campus, okay? And I was wondering if, because they actually have no code per se for producing justice, and a lot of activist groups are acting as if though they are agents of justice. Do you think that the compensatory compensatory concept that you created could be used by these other groups to create a massive whole? So instead of it being for victims of white supremacy, it could be for victims of white male patriarchy?
Mr. Fuller?
Well, the books that I have written, the concept the United Independent Compensatory Code System concept is directed toward victims of white supremacy. That's why the subtitle is a textbook workbook for thought, speech, and/or action for victims of white supremacy. Now, there are things in it that are universal. 1 and 1 is 2 for everybody. Cause and effect. And basically, all my book is saying is that we have a world in which people are acting incorrectly, and that all people should be acting correctly. So you mentioned one word there. See, words are very important. If you have some people who call themselves feminists, first thing you want to know is, what's the definition of a feminist? And then the next thing you want to know is, what does a feminist do that nobody else does? Otherwise, why be a feminist if you're going to be doing what everybody else does? See, so these are, it's just questions. All problems are solved through the process of questions and answers. So that would be the first step. If a lady comes up to you, or if a male comes up to you and say, he or she is a feminist. I'm a feminist. I don't want to talk about nothing else. I want to talk about being a feminist. Then you ask that person a logical question. What is a feminist? And then what does a feminist do in 9 areas of activity? Now, that's how my book can be used. Go straight to the 9 areas.
Where the really root of the question I have is coming to.
Yes.
Basically, when you ask them that question, what is a feminist
yes.
in these 9 areas? I've done that exact step because I've been a student of yours for some time. They have rooted in their culture. The first thing that comes out of their mouth is, my definition of feminism is this, and it's rooted in their culture that they are to define it for themselves on an individual level, which is what leads to them having no actual code for those 9 areas. So it's almost as if though the college curriculum in itself has programmed into a lot of these quote-unquote feminists automatic diversion to prevent them from having a code.
Well, it could be, but see, here again, you said the lady gave a definition. See, everything is in the words. Look at every word in that definition. And then, just like this whole conversation this morning was about, at the end of all the definitions, and even if the definitions do not make sense to you, I mean, that's the definition that they are given. So then, it's one thing that you are left with, even if you can't understand the definition that the person is given. You still ask the question, what is it that you are supposed to do? Or anybody who is a feminist, what does that person do that nobody else on the planet does? Because there's a reason for being a feminist. So you're going to be doing something unique.
Right.
That's just like if I say I'm a carpenter. That means that I'm doing something that's very distinctive. It's not just like you just can't classify me as being an airplane pilot or a chauffeur or something like that. I said I was a carpenter. And if you have never heard the word carpenter before, the logical codified procedure, according to the textbook for victims, is to ask the question of the person who is using the word, sir, ma'am, what is a carpenter? And presumably the person will give you an answer that you can understand. Now, if you can't understand the answer that they're given, then that calls for more questions. So when they say, I'm a feminist, and they give you, they speak in about 15 pages of what a feminist is, but you don't understand anything that they're saying because they're talking in such a different language, you might say, that you don't even have any comprehension of what they're saying, then you have to ask them another question. Can you tell me what you're talking about in words that I can understand? Is there any tools that you can pick out? Otherwise, what's the point in you telling me what you're telling me? It's just like I'm talking now. If I say anything on this radio program that people do not understand, the burden is on me. I'm doing the talking. I should be able to explain in detail everything that I have to say in a way that the listener understands what I'm saying. If the listener does not understand what I'm saying, I'm wasting everybody's time. And I'm doing a disservice to everybody that I'm talking to. The whole purpose for talking to people is that the person understands very clearly what you're saying, why you're saying it, and last but not least, what you're trying to accomplish by what you're saying. Because you're not supposed to be talking to anybody on this planet, not even for 5 minutes, unless you're trying to tell them what you're trying to accomplish. That's the goal. If that's not clear in your mind about what they're trying to accomplish, when a person says, well, I'm a feminist, well, what are you trying to accomplish? See, it comes down to that 2-letter word again, do. What is it you're trying to do as a feminist? Ma'am, sir, if you are a feminist, what is it that you are trying to do? And why are you telling me that you're a feminist? Because evidently you're telling me because you want me to do something. What is it you want me to do? It's always that doing part. That's the part we seem to never get to. We never get to the doing part. And the doing part is the only thing that really counts. How everybody feels about anything doesn't mean a thing without the doing part.
I understand. And
well, that's just a suggestion, that you keep plugging away at.
I don't want to kill your time.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So going back to the gender piece of it, I'm really looking at feminism from a perspective of the actual application of it versus what people are saying their application is. So from what I'm seeing, it's just making women wards of the state of sorts, where they and there's a lot of rhetoric around they don't need a man, and then there's also language like white male patriarchy, which I really, when juxtaposing how that community operates versus your concept, white male patriarchy seems to be the same terminology as white supremacy, particularly in the notion of when you were discussing the man-boy concept, where white supremacists don't allow non-whites to be men, right? That gender piece where, quote-unquote, white males don't allow women to have equal footing is where I think the feminism concept comes from as well. So in producing justice for all non-whites, even though there's oppression amongst, quote-unquote, white women, per se, that's what is causing feminism, that concept that you created, I think, has so many other applications as far as producing justice. So that's more, it was more of a comment than a question.
Very, very interesting. Mr. Fuller, you want to respond?
Yes, because the concepts that I have in the textbook are basically aiming toward universal logic. There's a logic that goes with the universe. And what is that logic? Cause and effect. Constructive, non-constructive. We are beset with problems. We're all born into a world that has problems. So the assumption, according to what I've written, is that we're supposed to be solving problems. What problems are we supposed to solve? The ones that are right in front of us. And how do you solve problems? By doing things that will solve the problems. That's why I keep emphasizing the doing. The first thing you do is recognize the problem. If a person says that he or she is a feminist, evidently they are in the process of trying to solve a problem. So the first logical question is, since all problems are solved by questions and answers, all problems are solved by questions and answers. So the question is, okay, you're a feminist, which means you're trying to solve a problem, presumably. Or are you trying to solve a problem? Or are you just saying that you're a feminist just to go around and say that you're a feminist? And it's not supposed to mean anything. But are you saying that you're trying to solve a problem? That's the question that you ask. What problem are you trying to solve as a feminist? See, just one question right after another. That's how you get real fast to where you need to be going. What happens in many so-called academic circles is that everybody has a tendency in many academic circles to talk more and more about less and less. So you always wind up right back where you started from, and nobody understands anything. And you're not even in a problem-solving mode. And the white supremacists are excellent people to guide non-white people in that direction, because non-white people are not supposed to be solving problems according to the white supremacists. The white supremacists say if there's going to be any problem solvers on this planet, it's going to be us. We will just take you through a whole lot of motions and give you a whole bunch of words and titles that you can play with. But none of you dark-skinned people are going to ever be able to solve a problem without me stepping in and actually solving the problem. Because I am the problem solver, and I intend to remain that way. If I allow you people to start solving problems, then that will put me out of business. And I ain't intending to be out of business as a white supremacist. So I'll just give you all a whole bunch of words to play with, but you're never solving a problem. I am the only problem solver on the planet. Because if you become intelligent enough to solve problems, my business of being a white supremacist is over.
There's a...
Okay, caller, does that go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I just wanted to say thank you for taking my call. My name is Don Duval, and I have a book.
Where are you calling from? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Brooklyn, New York.
Okay, good. And what's the name of the book?
The name of the book is called Science, Strategy, and War, The Strategic Theory of John Boyd by Osinga.
Okay.
And this book is a complete overview of the military strategy of America, but it also has areas that are focused on with regard to quote-unquote wars, and it has violent sides and nonviolent sides. And it's very, very similar to the 9 areas that are mentioned in your book, but it goes into depth in resources and ideological wars, and there's a lot of detail, particularly in the chart section of the book. If you just go through the charts of the book, it's a little bit expensive. It's a textbook, but it's definitely worth picking up as a compliment to your book.
Thank you so much. Say that name real quick once again, the name of the book?
Science, Strategy, and War by Osinga, Osinga. It's a textbook they use in West Point.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate your call.
More than welcome.
All right, Mr. Fuller. Okay, thank you. Mr. Fuller, do you have any thoughts, Mr. Fuller, that you would like to, anything that's come to you this week since we last talked that you would like to post? I'm using Facebook language, that you would like to talk about, Mr. Fuller?
Well, a lady called me and she said, what do you do when you're around people, either white people or non-white people, who don't want to talk about racism?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is, talk about what they want to talk about. But always tell them that anytime you engage in any conversation with anybody, whether they're white or non-white, you are talking about how to solve problems. Because the assumption is that's what conversation is supposed to be about. In any area of activity, economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, or war. You're trying to solve a problem. Because once you solve a problem in any of those areas of activity, or in all of them, hopefully, then you have what you call a correct planet in which everybody's doing what they should be doing in the way it should be done. That's what you want. You want everybody to be in a problem-solving mode. So if a person doesn't want to talk about solving problems, just ask a logical question. What do you want to talk about? And so you just listen to what they have to say. Now, when you listen to what a person has to say, most likely they will start talking about a problem that they want solved. And then that's the way you go. Because when you talk about a problem that a person wants solved, you'll automatically be talking about somewhere along the line producing a product called justice, meaning guaranteeing that nobody's mistreated and guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help. So all you got to do is just talk about whatever the person wants to talk about, as long as it's about eventually solving a problem. And that will lead to a discussion about justice, and any discussion about justice will lead to the race problem, which is the biggest problem on the planet.
Right. Now, Mr. Fuller, we've got about 5 minutes left, and I've got a couple of callers who are wanting to talk to you. So let's see if I can get the first caller in. Ooh, come off the phone. Now somebody's dialing the phone. Okay, caller, you're on the air. Go ahead. One of you, just jump right. Yeah, you're fine. Go ahead quickly. We got about 5 minutes. Go ahead. Wait a minute. Hold on for a minute. Somebody's dialing a phone. Could you?
I want to ask Mr. Fuller his take on this missing Malaysia plane.
Want to get his take on what?
The Malaysia plane that's missing.
Oh, okay. Mr. Fuller, you want to give your response to the Malaysia plane that's missing. Thank you, caller.
To the what now?
The plane that's missing in Malaysia. He wanted to get your thought, if you had any thoughts on what that was all about.
Oh no, I don't have any thoughts on that, except it's just a missing plane that with all the technology and whatnot, it should be up to gear now. 2014, they should have found out what happened to the plane. They should have known when the plane went down. It just sounds like a glitch in the technology to me. That's what it sounds like. But it might be something else. I don't know.
Something far more. Yeah,
but all that I know at this point is that there's a plane missing.
Let me go to
that the plane shouldn't be missing.
Right. Let me go to my second caller. Second caller, the one who is on the line, hasn't had a chance to speak. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just had a few comments real quick.
Make them quick because we got about 3 minutes.
Very quick.
Okay,
the first caller who called was saying about the it seems to be an attack. I didn't see anything new or anything different. It seems standard operating procedure. I was just curious about the Sterling incident, what Mr. Fuller thinks, because it seems they came down pretty hard on Sterling. Not hard, but quick, because they don't want us to withdraw, black people, maybe boycott or whatever, and disengaged. And it seems like the white supremacists want to just keep us engaged with what they got going on and how he feels about us trying to disconnect from the system as best we can.
Very interesting point. Mr. Fuller, go ahead.
If I understood the question, he's saying that we should have, that the white supremacists are doing what?
He said essentially what he's saying is that they came down pretty quick with the action they took on Sterling. And
yes, because briefly, what that's all about, in my opinion, is the white supremacists have the position now in the refinement stage of racism. Let those black people sleep. Don't say anything that's going to wake them up. We got them traumatized right now. We got them walking around like robots. They don't know what to do with themselves. They don't even have a philosophy of life. Keep them that way. That way we'll have a smooth running operation. Don't start using the N-word and all like that. You'll wake them up. Let them sleep. Let them just walk around looking like zombies and doing stupid stuff and glorifying the stupid stuff. Keep them that way. That's what makes a good servant in the system of white supremacy.
That is deep. That is deep. Mr. Fuller, we're about a minute and a half left. As you look at this rising tide, so to speak, with Copeland, comments by Copeland, comments by Bundy, comments by Sterling and others, and obviously, Mr. Fuller, more to come. We got about a minute. Wrap it all up in 1 minute, if you could, Mr. Fuller.
Like I said at the beginning, I would prefer that every white person on the planet say exactly what their position is on what to do about the black people on this planet, and every black person respond about what they think should be done. We don't have the power to do what needs to be done, but we should say what should be done, and let the white people, without telling lies and making excuses and all like that, just tell us how they see the race problem and what they intend to do about it. So we'll all be on the same page and get this thing wrapped up, like I said, in 15 minutes. That's all it would take if we're serious. We don't need to do any more marching and whatnot. Let's get this thing wrapped up by everybody talking honestly we haven't had an honest conversation about racism at all.
In quite a while. All right. Thank you, Mr. Fuller. We appreciate you.
Thank you.